You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hello, this is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are ladies that makes official. Welcome to over 16 years and 2,400 episodes of the Chris Voss Show, bringing all the latest, greatest minds, stories, lessons of life, things that you can use to improve the quality of your life. And if you're not learning anything from the Chris Voss Show, we'll go back and listen to all 2,400 episodes again, because you clearly missed something, or I don't know, maybe check the wax in your ears or something. You could have some buildup, or maybe a small rodent. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won on the TikTokity. And is that still a thing? Who knows? It's 2025. We'll find out. And also Facebook.com/Chris Voss. Today, we had an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her new book that will be coming out soon called Leading Becomes You. How to lead from your own skin. Because I'll just add a funny here, because the judge says I can't lead from other people's skin anymore. That's a what was that? What was that movie with the skin thing and Hopkins and stuff? Anyway.
Oh yeah, Silence of the Lambs. We're gonna. I think I've got a new subtitle here, Chris.
How to lead from your skin, or skin other people who won't be led. I don't know, something like that. We're just having fun here. So, Dr. Natalie Pickering. I'm sorry, let's recut that. Dr. Natalie Pickering joins us on the show. She is a work psychologist and board-certified executive coach with 20 plus years of global experience, leveraging her multidisciplinary approach to leader and team transformation. She loves helping leaders discover their self as leader, superpowers, and watching them transform cultures that fit work to people. Welcome to the show, Natalie. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great.
I'm excellent as well. Thank you for coming. Give us a .coms, anywhere people can find you on the interwebs.
drnataliepickering.com, LinkedIn /Dr. Natalie Pickering, and Instagram, Dr. Natalie Pickering.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you're putting in this book that will be coming out soon.
Sure. Leadership identity is the most underutilized performance strategy for leaders. This is a how-to guide to build your leadership approach. So, there's lots of books out there, lots of great resources, and those work because they fit that leader. I'm showing leaders how to create their own leadership field guide.
There you go. And why is it important to have a field guide?
Yeah, so many times, leaders come, I don't know how to motivate my team. I don't know how to have this crucial conversation, decision-making, all of these performance elements. And they've never done this deeper level reflection of who they are as a leader. And that's constructed over time. I mean, that's how we see ourselves. That's how other people perceive us. And it's connected to beating burnout. It's connected to feeling more fulfilled as a leader, effectiveness, performance, all the things.
Why would you want to alleviate burnout? Burnout's so fun, man.
I know, right?
Crash and burn. And I'm just like, I'm going to just fake my death and go someplace else and start anew.
Yeah, a lot of the burnout recommendations are about doing things differently. But the real question here is being differently. Yeah.
I'm pretty different. That's what most people tell me when they reject me on Tinder. So there you go. They go, you're
nice.
Really
is that your identity?
I probably, yeah. Well, my lack of, because it's been serially crushed and whatever by rejection. So maybe that's my identity, just being crushed.
Chapter 4, we're going to do your identity story timeline. We could do that right here, Chris.
What is an identity story timeline?
So I walk leaders through basically their life,
Yeah.
professionally and personally. And we're looking for, not just the strengths and the good stuff. And when I realized, this leadership thing was a fit for me, but it's the hard stuff too.
Hmm.
So when I made a decision that didn't work, when a plan failed, I show them how to repurpose those. I call it composting. That's the chapter. And
Interesting.
so we're doing both, right?
Hmm.
Using the strengths, leveraging the stuff that is often hard to look at.
Leveraging the stuff that's hard to look at. So when is the book coming out?
So it will launch early September. The cover is being built right now. Edits are done. It's in formatting. So early September.
Early September. There you go. And I notice on the website, people can get access to the first chapter and sign up to be notified when that book comes out or the news of it.
That's right. And they also get behind the scenes updates. And I also send out some goodies in advance. So,
Ah,
like that leader story timeline, some of the tools that are in the book. If they sign up and download that chapter, you get to read ahead, and you also get some bonus feature materials.
there you go. There you go. So the bonus materials are always fun. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you do and how you do it. You do, I mean, what are some of the other offerings you offer on your website?
Sure.
Consulting, team building, et cetera, et cetera.
So I have a clinical background. Actually, I started out as a trauma psychologist, worked at a veterans hospital in a PTSD clinic. And then I pivoted into the leadership space. I was an internal employee assistance program, so helping my colleagues, doing a lot of team things, leader things. And I realized, you know what? A lot of the stuff that people are coming to talk about is related to how a supervisor talked to them or things they were asked to do. So I pivoted, went upstream, and decided I wanted to help leaders get healthy because they gain, frontline employees gain. So all of my work now is executive coaching. I do team development, corporate offsites, corporate training around psychological safety, emotional intelligence, resilience, all
There
of
you
the
go.
above.
So, is there a certain organization or minimum size of organization spend, or there's like only certain companies you work with. Like some people will be like, I only work with Fortune 500 companies, or I only work with the Fortune 1000 companies, whatever. Is there a certain, if somebody's listening to this out there on LinkedIn or other places,
Sure.
who qualifies to work with you? I made it sound like you're a king, right? Or queen.
Right. That was a
Who
great setup.
qualifies for it? And you're just like, I don't know. Let me check with my oracle. No, you didn't do
Yeah, exactly. My team of me.
that. My team of
I
I.
mean, I I work with not-for-profits. I'm headed to
Mm,
Charlotte in a couple weeks to
okay.
work with an executive team for a not-for-profit.
Mm,
I've worked with lots of different industries. Small businesses are probably my sweet spot, and I would
okay.
say the best fit are companies that haven't lost sight that people are the most important asset for their business.
What? Are
I
you
know.
sure?
I know.
That seems so counterintuitive to everything that goes on Wall Street and major corporations now, but since the 1980s, greed is good.
Yes.
I grew up in that era. I was 18 and grew up in that era of Ivan Biosky and Michael Milken and all that noise.
Mm,
So yeah, where I in fact was it Chomsky or there was somebody who wrote a piece that flipped the script on going to work for companies for long periods of time and how it was more of interest to, instead of being focused on employees benefits, to focus on investor returns. And
exactly.
that's when we started doing then let's dump 10 or 20,000 employees to make the stock go bump.
Right. The churn and burn model would not be a fit for me.
Yeah. And I thought that we kind of gone away with that, but it seems like this year and some of the behavior in Silicon Valley has been really interesting, to where we seem to be, moving away from DEI and moving away from, I don't know, it seems like we're moving away from a lot of that stuff that tried to create equality and a balance and a healthy environment where, people felt like they were either contributing or heard. Seems like we're kind of moving away from that. Do
Exactly.
your studies, research?
Yeah, I mean, that all lines up in the research, right? Even around
Mhm.
burnout. So,
Ah,
when people feel like a widget, when people feel like they're a checkbox, and that they're that easily replaceable, then we see low engagement,
mhm.
increased turnover, difficulty with retention. The thing is, we can put dollars and cents to all of these, people centered factors and metrics.
Mhm.
It's costly.
It is. And a lot of people leave. Yeah, I'm kind of setting this up as a pseudo question for you. But my understanding is a lot of people leave when they leave a company. A lot of times, I think the majority of the time, it's over poor leadership, lack of leadership. I guess that would all fall in the same category. Basically, over leadership qualities. They don't feel like, you know, they have good leadership, and they don't feel like that leadership's helping them make a contribution that matters to them.
Exactly. And so I started doing research when I was in internal employee assistance program asking, why are people coming? And the data just started stacking up, right? For exactly what you're saying and what Gallup studies have also illustrated that people leave managers, people leave supervisors, people leave leaders, not necessarily the company. And so that was the whole pivot in my career was trying to figure out, okay, what's not working? How can I come in at the leadership level, bring some health, bring some leader identity clarity, so that everybody, right, from that level below doesn't feel like they're going to throw up on Sunday before they come to work.
I throw up when I come home from work. Is that the same
Or
thing or
that, there
different?
you go.
Is that the same thing or different? I don't know. There you go. What was the question? What do you find when you have business or leaders that are coming to you, they're struggling? What do you find is like, for example, maybe their number one or number top issues that you really dig in and help them resolve? What's the big thing people are struggling with nowadays?
A lot of imposter syndrome.
Oh,
Some of this depends on, the level of experience. So if I've got
mhm,
an emerging leader, a new leader, they really struggle with imposter syndrome, some confidence issues. I just coached an executive this week who's considering a role transition, and we were
mhm.
walking through an assessment. He's been at this for 25 years, but
Wow.
not sure if what I've got here is better than the next level. So, it kind of depends on where they are on their
Mhm.
leadership journey, as to what comes up for them.
Do you find that a lot of them end up in this that imposter syndrome because maybe they've been over promoted, like they've been put sometimes in maybe a position they weren't very skilled for? Like, for example, we found that it really went bad when we would promote a top salesman to a management position. Those two mentalities just never really meshed well. Yeah.
Yes, I think what happens there is confidence gets mistranslated as competence.
Ah.
So we have this, high charisma, highly confident individual, and the research supports this. That gets translated as competence. So
Mhm.
we've got two challenges there, right? Sometimes we're overlooking maybe a more quiet, the personality is a little bit different for this leader, but they've got this incredible skill set we're missing,
Mhm.
right? Or we're promoting someone with heaps of confidence and they don't have the skills for the task.
Ah. Yeah, and it's interesting how many people look at that. Like, they never say, "Hey, do you need training for this promotion?" They're just like, "Hey, we're going to give you more money and a job title, and you're promoted." And everyone's like,
Exactly.
"Yeah," and then they're like, "Oh, how do I do whatever this is?" Do you find there's more imposter syndrome in women that you work with over men?
Yes,
Mhm.
and I love supporting women in leadership, specifically for that reason. Even in how, like, if we do a 360 assessment, which is where, we ask someone to rate their own skills, their boss's boss, their peers and direct reports, everybody answers the questions. Women are always rating themselves lower on those kinds of assessments versus men.
There you go. That's very interesting, and it clarifies kind of some of the data I've been collecting. Um, the so do people, do you find that when you're working with leaders, because you develop them and stuff, they might have the skills for the job, but they don't have the leadership qualities? Like a lot of times you're in the group, you have a leader, and then you become that manager, that leader, but maybe you know how to do the job because you've worked at that job, but you don't have the leadership skills per se. And it seems like maybe a lot of people don't train for that. I mean, like a lot of companies don't offer that training.
It's true. And, some of that is there was this theory called the great man theory, right? Or the great woman theory.
Mhm.
And the assumption 100 years ago, there's a type of leader, right? So we look back over history and we've got these great leaders and, men and women. And the research has caught up. It depends. It depends on the role. It depends on the organization. There's no cookie cutter best leader, right? There are some competencies that I want for this position. There are some competencies I want in another position. And that's really what my book is about.
Hmm.
Leaders, it's hard for you to know where your best role is going to be if you don't know who you are as a leader.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's if you don't understand leadership, what it's about, how it's perceived. I used to keep a sign on my desk that said, and it's somewhere in my storage unit. I don't know why it doesn't need to be on my desk anymore. I know this by heart, but it basically said that something to the effect that just because you have the title doesn't mean you're good at it. You need to daily work for that title. You need to work to embody that title. So just because you get a title of leader or manager, CEO, or pick your title, that doesn't mean that, well, I must have been good at leadership because they gave me the job and now I'm the boss. You've seen people that they go off on that sort of narcissistic sort of Machiavellian
Yes.
tangent where they're like, I'm all knowing and all whatever. Now that how did you learn all this knowledge, sir? They gave me the title. I went from dumb to smart overnight just by a title. And you're like, no, that's not the way it works. No.
In the book, I call that the petrified forest.
The petrified forest. I love it. Now, how does that apply? To give me the spin on that.
Sure. So I've got two dimensions. So one dimension is your leader identity clarity, and the other dimension is connection.
Hmm.
And that creates these four leader terrains. There's the swamp, where you don't have clarity and you don't have connection. There's the wasteland, where you don't have clarity, but you've got connection to everybody else's agenda. And then there's the petrified forest that I was talking about, where you really think you know who you are. You're not connected to any of the needs or the mission or the values, etc. And then the other one is flourishing. And so the book, lays out the path from each of those leadership terrains. I was going to say, your point about getting the position and getting the title, the research indicates that as leaders go right higher up the ladder and get more advanced positions, their openness to being developed decreases.
Really? That's an interesting stat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is that? Or do you talk about it in the book? I don't want to give the whole book away. We want people to order it.
Yeah, no, and that isn't to say, because I do have senior leaders who are still, working on themselves and realize they have growth areas, but there's this sense that I've gotten to this point and I've really learned everything I need to know and I've got it in the bag. And again, that's the petrified forest. We don't want to lose growth mindset. We don't want to lose, right? Even from a modeling perspective, if I'm not willing to step into how to lead from my own skin, there's no way I can expect my team or my colleagues to want to do the same.
There you go. And hence the title of the book, because that's a great analogy. You can't get other people to lead and do the things, and you're just like, well, I'll just sit here in the chair and kick my feet up and I'm sure it'll all work out. Leadership is a challenging thing, and a lot of people do it wrong. I've seen lots of different versions, like some of the ones you aspire to. In fact, usually the one I always see is the petrified brain. I usually see that a lot on Twitter and X, where someone's brain has gone fully petrified. But
What does that look like?
they're just dumb shits.
Oh, yeah.
They're just stupid as F. As if. Yeah, there we go. As the kids call it. So tell us about your journey through life. How did you develop? What got you interested in learning these sort of techniques that you teach other people? And then also you did a TED Talk, and I know you're working with some puppets and different things like that to tell your story. Give us that whole journey, if you would. And we got
Sure.
about 5 hours to do it.
Excellent. Let me get some more caffeination.
Your
over
life
here.
story. What date and time were you born? Don't say that, because that's
So when I was
dirty question.
2,
I had
So
a poop
I-
and an epiphany at the same time.
That's
in my
right. That's
diaper.
right.
Yeah.
And a psychologist was born.
Yeah, there you go. Happened to me at 50, but it's funny how you wear diapers at the end. Anyway, I'm kidding, folks. It's a joke. It's an old age joke. I'm not that old. So I hope I'm not. I don't know. I'm pooping now. Anyway, so I'm sorry to interrupt you with our little jokes there.
We're good.
I'll let
You ready?
I'll let you tell your life story. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of my, I did my own leader story timeline because I wanted to test out everything in the book before I asked other people to do it. So I grew up on a farm, work ethic, Protestant work ethic, Northwest Ohio, Midwest. So I think all of that, is part of my own identity. I went to the Air Force Academy briefly, then transferred to Wheaton College.
Mhm.
I was a teacher for a few years, moved to West Africa and was doing some not-for-profit work there, HIV counseling. That's really where I learned how to support people in trauma. And came back to get more training and then went to a veterans hospital. But along the way, living in West Africa, my mom was dying of breast cancer. I was seeing levels of trauma that I had never been exposed to before, and really met my own burnout at that time, right? There's so much need, and here I am in my 20s trying to fix it all. No can do.
Yeah.
Shocking revelation. So initially I thought, well, I don't really have to deal with it. I'm just going to get my PhD and figure out, all the answers. And that was not a good strategy. So part of what I walk leaders through is, frankly, life debris that is sneaking up on them in ways they don't realize it. So faceplant season of my life, did my own work with my own psychologist, and that's infused, so to speak, in the book, and really kind of bringing my experience with that, plus my clinical experience, honestly, and translating all of that into leader identity.
There you go. Leader identity. And tell us about what that means, leader identity.
Yeah, it's the story that I'm telling myself about, can I do this leader thing? Am I a leader? What does that look like? So there's the story I'm telling myself as a leader, and then others' perception, right? So both of those create our identity, generally speaking, and then we add the leader element to that.
And is some of that, is that an ego issue where, we talk about there's the kind of the ego mind that we have that kind of has its own little narcissistic capabilities. And sometimes it deludes us in different things. I remember in the in the TEDx talk, you were using puppets, and it seemed to be you were using them for different portions of an identity, or correct me on that.
Sure. So the puppet, her name is Edna, and she's me. and she's my inner critic.
Ah.
Right. So I'm illustrating how, these parts of us, you talked about ego. We could
Mhm.
also talk about different parts of us. They show up in different ways. And, the inner critic, Edna can get a little mouthy sometimes. And so I've got to say to Edna, take a seat on the couch and get some popcorn and pass the microphone, because there are other parts of me that need to show up right here, right? Maybe a
Mhm.
more vulnerable side of me, or maybe a more confident side of me.
Ah, there you go. And so would you call that the ego, or what would you frame that as? Just a voice inside our
The
heads?
inner critic, it's
Uh-huh.
more, so there's a personality tool that I really like. It's called
Mhm.
the Enneagram, and it looks at your deep sort of motivations. So for me, right, my deep motivation is I really want to be right. I really want to be good.
Mhm.
I really want to follow the rules. And so what happens for all of us, depending on what that motivation is, I want to see myself in this way, and I really want to make sure you see me in this way.
Oh, yeah.
So then we're shutting down other parts of us, right? So
Mhm.
for myself, if I have to be good, if I have to be right, if I've got to, fix the whole world, one day at a time, then whew, you can't see my mistakes. You can't see when I drop the ball. You can't see when I lose my patience. And we all have a different version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked a little. You mentioned a little bit before about cleaning up the past and issues of the past.
Hmm.
One of, there's a lot of things that kind of interfere with the self trauma, unresolved trauma, big T, little T, you name it, behavioral biases, maybe things you were taught by your parents that inhibited your personality growth or your development, or maybe thoughts that you had that inner critic beats you up is because the kids at school told me I was fat, so or I'll never be successful, and so I'll never be successful. They have these belief systems, these blind spots, schatomas that kind of hold them back. Do you find that's part of that mess you have to clean out to get it out of the way for people?
Yes. So I am using some of that clinical experience even when I'm supporting leaders, right? And helping them do some of that debris clearing, composting that I was talking about. And those traumatic experiences take up a lot of real estate in the
Okay.
brain. They
Yeah.
take up a lot of real estate emotionally, in our thinking space. And often that's what's holding people back.
Mhm.
I think even for people to take permission to acknowledge that that's there.
Mhm.
Sometimes I think too, people are following rules and they don't realize they're following rules, whether that's from family of origin, whether that's from
Oh.
someone, that they're emulating as a leader, but those rules don't fit for me. So we've got to chuck some of those.
Mhm.
And that's where writing your own field guide comes in. So I address a lot of that in the book when I look at mindset awareness, emotional awareness, and walking people through, generally speaking, how to do what I call inner business with some of that
Mhm.
debris.
The inner business of debris.
That's right.
I got a whole freaking junkyard of debris. It's like a landfill, actually, from
Well, we
57
got
years.
5 hours. Let's go. Let's clear it out right here.
I wish we had more time, and God knows I'm just procrastinating, putting it off. So I'll just keep doing that. That seems to work for me so far. Anyway, as we go out, Natalie, give us a final pitch out to people. Tell them how they can onboard with you. They can reach out to you.coms, how they can find out more as the book launches, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, please download that chapter on the website, drnataliepickering.com under books. There's also a contact form if people are interested in team development, interested in their own coaching. I offer coaching intensives. People come and hang out with me here in East Tennessee
Oh,
for 3 or 4 days, and we clear out the debris.
the debris. The debris. There you go. So give us the .com as we go out one last time. I think you gave it, but let's just do it as we round out.
drnataliepickering.com.
There you go. Thank you, Natalie, for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Get tuned in so you can get aware of the book when it comes out. Leading Becomes You: How to Lead from Your Own Skin by Dr. Natalie Pickering PhD. There you go. And stop using other people's skin. It's illegal, people, to do that if you saw Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. My audience, be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.